New adventures from ages past. Some blank verses are built to last. Flying high on Milton's words leads us toward a heavenly place, not like in our home on earth.
Under starry skies, with angels nigh, sing of that forbidden tree so high. In fairest verse, the saddest case of all, 'cause then of man's free will and fall, who tempted our proud parents in third. Happy state Eve, wife of Adam, fair of face, yearned for the knowledge yet fell from grace.
He it was, the infernal serpent, whose guile scheme, elevated in rage, rebelled against the power supreme. Favored of heaven once so highly, through at the broad ethereal skies, hurled he by hand of God, long flaming 9 times the span of night and day. Lastly to the lake of burning fire and stir he lay, with all his glory now extinct in endless woe. Infinite mind and spirit was dealt a mighty blow. Though immortal, now vanquished in the fiery lake, hell within him he his crime would not forsake. He with the mightiest enlisted heavens, admiring obedient rebel angels, by whose aid aspiring raised in peace won heaven in battle proud. Now regions of sorrow, darkness visible, a dismal shroud of direct pride. His great sin took him to this path, reserved him in this dark prison only to more wrath.
Round he rolled his baleful eyes to fume the fiery surges, eternal hell where peace and rest can never dwell. Death never comes but torture, without end still urges. Furnace flames on all sides round, lost happiness and lasting pain torments him, mixed with obdurate pride. And overwhelmed by whirlwinds of tempestuous fire, myriad about him is horrid crude.
Thus said he with ire,
Extort from me nor ever shall that glory take,
nor shall his might make me bow and sue for grace. Let yes. Pioners with spade and pickaxe, now the fallen move, armed to cast a rampart, Mammon led them on. Nigh on the plain, found out the massy ore, digged out ribs of gold that now they tread upon. Easily outdone the works of Mephian kings, monuments of fame and story that fable rings, and opening their brazen foul throes of starry lamps. Lord, great now Cairo, such magnificence equaled in all their glories, and here the legions thick encamped. Great the glory, great the glory. Yes, yes, yes.
council. We now debate whether with open war we fight, or if covert guile is right, until a verdict by us is rendered on our plight. Now who can advise may speak within these towers. Command me as you will, my sovereign powers. I call thee to judge our fate, to what is meet, live in torment or to regain our happy seat. Moloch, sceptred king, stood in comfort. Open war, now fiercer from despair. Care lost, let those contrive who need of wiles not I, or heaven's high towers he shall see. Cataracts of flame and black fire and fury, his own invented torments against his tyranny.
axles, he most effective arms. I fear the Huns, legions encamp, the towers of heaven are filled thus. Impregnable, what revenge would soon expel us, and that must end us. Thus propelled in flat despair, laid chained on the burning lake, here we must repair, yes, yes.
Elizabeth with great aspect rose, a pillar of state, engraving deliberation on his front and public care. Ethereal virtues, let us bend our thoughts anew. Look through audience and attention still as night, so mild opportune awaits to where we find by flight. Excursion thence we may chance re-enter heaven, but first whom shall we send upon this mighty task? A boy with indefatigable wings to another world, by force or subtlety to seduce some new race called man. See now, and long process of time, we are now exempt from heaven's high jurisdiction, yet we remain in strictest bondage amid this fiery sea. Safe our trick beyond his potent arm, think we, and yet under the inevitable curve of prison where we are set, ambushed from the deep, dangerous. Thus war hath determined us, and foiled with loss, irreparable our path. Enslaved hatching they, empire's chains of peace meant severe custody stripes and arbitrary punishment. Eyes, yes.
Satan, whom now transcendent pride and glory raised above his fellows, thus spake: long is the way and hard that out of hell leads up to light, barred by night. I shall assume these royalties, and by accepting this hazard, not refuse to reign in this island my powers in regard. Saying against the wakeful foe, intend at home, render tolerable. Saying thus, the monarch arose and prevented all reply. Stygian council thus dissolved to shouts of praise, and upon the wing, heart curbed their fiery steeds of deeds. Misery final and of will and fate they argued then, evil and good, passion, apathy and bold, venture and shame, vain wisdom all, devil with devil damn, yes, yes.
The adversary of God and man, with thoughts of highest design, puts on swift wings and looks above, explored his solitary flight or the escape of hell. Coast sometimes he scores and then shaves the deep, high touring the fiery concave, thus the flying fiend till at last appear hell-bound with circling fires, reaching to the horrid roof, and there he sees gates thrice threefold, brass, iron, rock, and on either side a formidable shape, miscreated anon, distinguishable not in member, joint, or limb. Execrable shape was one, black it stood his ninth, and shook a dreadful dart, a kingly crown on him. The monster came moving fast with horrid strides. Hell trembled as he strode, and thus Satan replied: be assured I mean to pass, though barred, and thou shalt learn by proof, without leave asked. Retire or taste thy folly, contend not with spirits of Ev, thus Satan set the task. Yes, yes.
Goblin Rick flung out traitor angel. He thou art who first broke peace, faith, and now eternal days do waste in woe and pine. Hell doomed, for never but once more was such a pair opposed. In mid-air so frowned, and the mighty combatants closed. Each shading pestilence and horrid war now had been achieved. Many great uncanny deeds had not the snaky sorceress rushed between yes, yes.
She woman to the waist, and fair, yet ended in many a voluminous scaly fold that held a key. Never ceasing hellhounds barked around her, steam armed her nether end and threatened injure. Thou art my father, thou my author, she cried. At thy right hand I shall reign, voluptuous in light and bliss, and live in thy house at thy side, in ease as beseems thy daughter. Therefore hold, shining fair out of thy head I sprung, and amazement seized all the host of angels I pleased with attractive graces, and in darkness thou soon tookst joy with me. My womb ere long conceived a growing burden. At last this odious offspring my entrails tore, and he, my inbred enemy, forth issued, and in embraces forcible and foul begot in me these yelling monsters whom ye see there are yes, yes. And now the crafty fiend thus answered smooth, both him and thee and all the host, the sum of spirits who fell, will profit by my deeds to come. Uncouth errand I undertake and expose myself to. Now search with wandering high on equal quest, designed to bring myself and thee both to rest. Sin and death to dwell free with ease and honor best. As yes.
Cowers now, his dark pavilion spread before his keep, himself enthroned upon the wasteful deep. His sable-vested knight along the side in Erebus, onto his left Demogorgon stood amid the eddy tide. Satan bold upon his mission thrust his fears aside. Good chaos thou and ancient night, observe my flight. Under thy banner here was I, fly from prison's blight. I seek to where the readiest path does lead from this darksome desert through which your empire stands. Ethereal king, have cast me out of laden being, so thus I now fly up to heaven's light from hell's gate. Set monarch golden steadfast judgment still, all I can do will I do to serve I will. That little witch God's work you left us to defend, and we can thus the step to ride to bend with night, havoc and spoil my game with feed thy flight. Yes, yes.
Restraint broke loose, Satan wins his way up or down, not far off heaven, in the precincts of light, amongst the stars, directly towards the new created world. Thither he hies, so on Satan fares, and to the border comes of Eden, that delicious paradise, a sylvan scene of lofty shade, nature profuse on hill and dale and plain, rich entertained, those odorous sweets, east-looking Satan spies the one gate, and at one slight bound and high, contempt and utter disdain, high overleap does a wolf tries to seek new haunt for prey. Thus the fiend saw all kind of creature, his eye feared undelighted all delight. Ethiopia blind by Neela's head of paradise, gentle pair he spies of noble shape, and weirdly seemed they reveling in their beauty he recovered sad. Discovers simplicity and spotless innocence, even Adam under a tuft of green revealed, nor were this mysterious parts concealed. Yes, yes. When from sleep
sleep I first awaked under a shade of flowers near. I much wondered whence thither brought, and murmuring sound of waters made a liquid plain unmoved. And thither I went and laid me down and sank, not with experienced thought, on the green bank. Expanse of heaven it seemed, and as I bent down, visage within the wavy gleam appeared, even answering my own gaze with looks of love. Shalt thou be warned, said a voice, cease fair is thyself. Even now I will bring thee where no shadow stays, even to him whose image thou art, and thou shalt enjoy. Sleeping now under a platen, there I bring thee his flesh, his bone thou art. And Eve saw how manly grace excelled with wisdom, which alone bound with reason should far exceed all other virtues. So sojourned our gentle mother with gentle eyes of conjugal attraction and meek surrender. Eyes of conjugal attraction and meek surrender. Love smiled under the flowing gold of her tresses, finding substantial love to have him by her side.
To warn Adam and Eve of Satan's plot. Raphael steps down the eastern climb, a seraph winged into the blissful field. Plumes he shook, and with grace so fair and heavenly fragrance filled the air. And some message high they guessed the pair. Eve then Adam hasted hither, she with wondering stare. Looking eastward among the trees, angelic virtue dazzles, though Adam not awed. Rose and order from the shrub unfunged and shivered life tree of Redden. Raphael walks forth and bowing in naked majesty, our primitive great sire, viewing his godlike as thus said, ever no place but heaven can thee contain. So yet do honor these two only tame. Adam I therefore cave, lead on then to thy bower, nor art there such created in this place, this here, dwelling too oft invite like myself to visit thee. Eyes, yes.
That thou art happy, O to God, his great commands obey. And take heed lest passion sway, well or woe in thee is placed, and all temptation to transgress repel. Raphael so saying rose to return above. Now be strong, live happy in love. In thy persevering I shall rejoice, now perfect within, no outward aid required. Gentle to me, said Adam, and affable have been. Eyes, yes.
Satan returns to Eden at midnight. Satan in mediated fraud, conjuring spite, and malice fearless return at midnight. There with inspection deep he considered all and every creature, which of all most nigh opportune might serve his wiles as hosts. Erewhile finds he the serpent by his narrow search, subtlest beast of all. Thus he resolved it fit vessel to enter, and his dark suggestion hide. Resolved he thus, for in the wily snake none with suspicious mark. Whoa, whoa!
in appearance, forth was coming on his quest. He shepherded his spies, he bowed his turret crest, and sleek enameled neck fanning. His gentle dumb expression turned at length the eye of Eve. But while full tender spoken, I chanced a goodly tree, loading with fruit of fairest colors. To pluck and eat my fill I spared not. Of a sudden there be reason in my inward powers and speech, so glistered the dire snake, and in the fraud led Eve. Whoa, whoa.
Turned he thereby again to praise that tree of death, enameled slake neck, fawning with bated breath. Mistress, I thy celestial beauty do adore. Powerful persuaders are that alluring fruit for of sound. Those apples I spared, not eating my fill. A strange degree of reason than to worship thee with love. He fixed upon the fruit she gazed, his argument veritable truth to her seeming. She listened thus, enchanted by the serpent's words, but soon lamented the guilty serpent intent, now wholly on her taste not else regarded. She plucked, she eat, in that evil hour nature felt the wound. Yes, yes.
Gods appeared thereafter and asked how they now know they are naked, for they appeared ashamed. God spoke thus, unless thou hast eaten of a tree of dread death, thou would not be ashamed. Adam replied, this woman whom thou given me gave me of that dread tree of death, and I did eat. God judged them thusly, woe beyond woe they befall us. I call the archangel, it soon drew nigh. By God's leave, had a man now clad in purple vest to Adam and Eve. Now open thine eyes, and I will reveal for thee to see the effects original sin hath wrought by virtue of that tree. Forth I am come to remove both by heaven's high behest, and send thee from the garden forth to leave thy nest, to till the ground horse first taken by God's command, even from where you both so cared with tender hand. And here prepared before another scene so sorry, now I show all earth's kingdom and their brief glory, down to the end of time, wayward mankind's story. Many town and rural work before them saw they then, and cities with lofty gates and towers afar great men too. Now concourse in arms, fierce phrases threaten war, sings war in array, in battle raged under Satan's star. Fate's forgotten truth one might accept, dutiful and brave. Unrighteousness shall God punish and admonish. The one just man named Noah will build an ark to save, and under rock to shelter good fans pure and right grave. Rain will fall and deluge day and night, and showers all ensue to inundate the highest hills beneath the squall. Yes, yes.